We need to get Matt Rogers to date me.
Yeah. Do you have any strategies?
Like immediately. Matt, if you're listening to this, my DMs are open.
I'll give a testimonial.
Okay, fine, whatever. But anyways, let me not be so desperate.
I swear to God.
I know.
So you're just going to be dating Matt Rogers and half naked all the time?
Yes. Well, okay, so listen. So I haven't been drinking for like the last like 2.5 months, it feels like. No, it is like 2.5 months, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and like I have been taking my supplements, and by supplements I mean like protein, creatine. I've been getting my body right, and honestly, like it's not because I'm a hoe, because anyone that knows me knows I'm not a hoe. But
that's true.
That being said, I just want to be naked all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's like the little, heavy kid inside of me that just like wanted to be, this just like bombshell goddess my entire life. And so it's here, and like basically like I'm just taking little nudies on camera and then going home to no one to go eat a pizza or whatever it is. So it's not really to like get laid or anything. It's just because for me.
That's okay. You're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I get that.
I don't know. I want the attention. Is that bad? Can I just say that? Like, if I'm working this hard, don't I want people to see it? I mean, granted, I prefer like, a husband or someone I'm dating to see it, but until Matt Rogers calls.
Yeah. No, I always say this. One of the reasons I work out, as egotistical as it might sound, is I want others to look at me and say, and think, oh, she works out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think it also like it like says a lot about like how you feel about yourself. The way that you see yourself is the way that you take care of yourself. If I see somebody who, and that doesn't necessarily mean like your looks or how attractive you are. Like it's nothing like that. It's just like how do you present yourself to the world?
Yeah, exactly. Do you care about yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I view it. Also,
pluck them eyebrows, baby.
If you're, which I just did in my car, but if you're a person who goes to the gym regularly, if you tell me that there isn't even a little bit of ego involved, you're lying.
No, and also like, you're LGBTQIA+, LMNOP, honey. Like, of course there's ego involved.
There's ego involved. I willingly admit it. I do. I mean, I go for so many reasons. It clears my head, all that shit. But really, I'm not going to lie. A part of it's ego.
Well, yeah, I just like, for me, a part of it is that I want to start an OnlyFans so that I can pay for more fake plants.
Yeah. This is just going to become you know what?
It is so obviously fake.
Who wants a piece of merch with this on it?
Honey. That's going to be it. Oh my God, when our show takes off, we're going to have merch with just this plants. You ate that.
And that's on branding.
You think Matt Rogers will like it?
Yeah. I think you should give that to him on your first date.
Just bring it like, instead of like a corsage, I bring this plant.
Or like a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
Will you please date me?
Just look into his beautiful blue eyes or blue-green eyes. I don't know. They're like blue-green, right?
I don't know. I don't look that hard.
Title of this episode, How Can I Get How to Win a Date with Matt Rogers instead of Tad Hamilton. I legitimately have a ring ready. It's on layaway, K Jewelers. But every kiss begins with K.
Oh my God, that brings back so many childhood memories.
I'm just kidding. You're not getting K. You're definitely getting like Walmart.
Walmart?
Just kidding. No, definitely not. Like I'm willing to put my life savings on it. All $500 of it. Well, anyways, again, let me not look so desperate. So back to the topic at hand. So the market has spoken. They the whole point of the show was to do kind of like, because again, I was one of those gays that had their feelings about lesbians prior to meeting this beautiful woman.
Oh, he flatters me so.
Yes, and she kind of just like changed my perspective. But half of the reason why I had my opinions on lesbians that I did was because they didn't treat me so nicely. And then I met one that did treat me nicely. And then she introduced me to all this this plethora of other amazing lesbians. And then I changed my tune a little bit. So yeah, no. And like people on YouTube have been asking us to do a part 2, gays versus lesbians. So we're going to do that today. Yes. But we're going to discuss more like the relationship aspect of it. Mind you, I wouldn't have any more relationship problems if Matt Rogers would just date me.
Yeah.
But it's just going to keep going back to that.
Yeah, it's going to circle all the way back. Then you won't have any more relationship issues.
Totally.
I get it. I understand.
I can just see all the gays on my DMs now. Well, I guess you're not interested in me anymore since I'm not Matt Rogers. And you know what? You're right.
You're right. You know what? You are absolutely right.
Let's talk about lesbians and how they date, because from what I know, it's crazy as hell. And not saying that men are any different, but it's just a different type of different.
It's a different type of, yeah.
A different type of different.
Yeah.
Kind of like this fake plant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just, you know, like she's a plant, but she's different.
Well, the culture is very different. From what I've realized, the culture is very different. And there are also aspects that overlap, for sure. I mean, like I said in the previous episode, we're all gay. We should all be on the same side.
Yeah.
But okay. When it comes to lesbians, if I had to break down lesbian relationships in one word, it would be passionate.
Fish. Tilapia. Salmon. Tartar sauce.
It's really not like that, guys. It's really not. For all the gays out there, it's really not like that. It's not.
Okay,
For all
no,
the gay men that are curious about it.
I know it doesn't smell like tuna anyways.
It does not. But I would use passionate as a term. Because you get two very emotionally driven people in a relationship. And then all of a sudden, I mean, that's why the U-Haul joke exists, right? Like you go on one date, there's a lesbian trope that you go on one date, and if it goes well, and this has happened to me before, that date will then last 5 months.
Well, no, but I appreciate that though, because I feel like when I meet a guy, like me personally, like I want the date to last 5 months. Like when I meet Matt Rogers, for example. Like,
exactly.
I want it to last like 10 years. But no, I mean, I get what you're saying though. Women are innately more emotional than men are.
Yeah.
So naturally, you guys are going to be more inclined to the emotions right up front. But I would say that, I don't know, I'm a very emotional guy, so I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny talking to you about this because you operate a little differently than a lot of gay men I know and the stereotype of gay men. But I don't know. When it comes to lesbian relationships, I am the stereotype. I mean, I've talked about this before, but if I know I like you, I tend to fall in pretty fast and pretty deeply.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's like once every 10 years for me, but I know what you're saying. Like, I get like obsessed.
Oh, it doesn't happen to me often. And it takes a very particular type of person. You and I were just talking about this the other day, but if I have no passion for you, I can't even date you.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. If you're not touchy, if you're not emotional, if you're not any of that stuff, there's just no point.
Yeah,
If you're like a don't touch me type of gay, or like okay, like I'm going to roll over now. Why?
Yeah, it's like the no PDA type. I can't.
No, like I don't like PDA. Like, what is that?
No, I don't know.
Oh my God.
I mean, my love language is physical touch. Anyone who is my close friend or has dated me can tell you that much.
I know.
A very affectionate person.
She's playing footsies with me right now under the table.
Anyway, I'm very stereotypical in that way. I'm not going to put myself past the stereotype. But as I've gotten a little bit older, I've also realized how important it is to protect yourself, because you really don't. My mom always used to tell me to follow the 3 to 6 month rule. You really don't get to know somebody until about 3 to 6 months in. And that's when their true colors start to show. And then you can look inward and go, okay, is this something that I want, or is it something that I don't want?
Yeah, there's always so many times that you like get to know somebody and you think you know them, and I don't know what it is about 3 to 6 months.
It always shows up at 3 to 6 months.
Who they are shows their selfishness, their this, their that, and it's just like, okay, like maybe this is a great person, but just like the day-to-day lifestyle doesn't coincide with mine. Yeah. Maybe the way they consider somebody else does not coincide with the way that I would like to be considered.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be negative qualities, because I've definitely been in dynamics where the person shows me who they are at 3 to 6 months, and I love it. But that being said, I've also been in dynamics where that shows and it's not necessarily compatible with what I want. So it's not negative necessarily. You just realize at that point if you're compatible or not. But the trap I've fallen into is once I get to that point and I realize that there are things that might not be compatible, I've already fallen in love.
No, I totally get that. Well, especially because of the situation that I came out of. Yeah. You understand. It's like we're both good people, but I was not being considered in the way that worked for me. Yeah. So exactly. And the thing is that like nowadays I'm dating with intention. Like if I'm dating you and I'm putting in the time, Matt Rogers, I need to see a future with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing this whole, like, casual, like, I'm just having fun. Like, I don't have time for it. Like, I'm working full time. I'm doing the show. I'm doing other stuff content-wise. Like, I just, like, if you're going to be in my life, like, I don't want to have any games.
Yeah.
I don't want any texting bullshit. Like, I text you once and you text me back 3 hours later. Like, it's just not for me. Like, I want to, like, come home to you at the end of the day. I want to have good sex. I want to live a good life. I want to work on my career. I want somebody who adds to my life. I don't want it to be a drain.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I want to be considered the way that I want to be considered. Like, I want it to work. I want us to both love each other in the way that we both need to be loved.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Versus screaming from the rooftops and begging someone to love me and giving them the map on how to love me, but them just not paying attention to it at all. It's no shade. Yeah. But it's just like, I don't want to ever go through that again. I don't care how good of a person you are. I am not settling or putting my needs aside. Ever again.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, well, why don't you have somebody? Like, how are you single? How are you this? Easily.
Yeah. It's by choice.
It's by choice. It's a dumpster fire out there. And also, like, it's just, I don't know, like, where's the passion? You know what I mean? It's, people say that, like, I don't know, I always refer to the way that I date as juvenile. Even though I know it's not juvenile, I just know what I want.
Yeah.
Like, I want that passion. I want to be excited to see you. Like, we have the rest of our lives for it to get boring.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be boring now.
Ooh, that's such a good way of putting it.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, God, like, shit, like, take me to San Francisco and, like, kiss me on the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm an emotional top.
You're very romantic.
I am. I'm a romantic, emotional top. I always say I'm a top with the emotions of a bottom.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, but I'll still choke you.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Matt Rogers.
Actually, I could view myself that way too.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll spit in your mouth, but, like, I'll hold you after.
Okay, so do you find that, well, I just described lesbians as very passionate because, again, you get two emotionally driven people into a relationship.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's full speed ahead. The brakes are broken on the U-Haul van. But...
Well, I think that's why you guys also split up pretty quick, too, because you're moving in when you're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And then you get to know each other when you already signed the lease. And now on a scale of 1 to fucked, you're both fucked. So.
I'm going on record right now. I have never U-Hauled. I've never U-Hauled.
Well, maybe emotionally.
Emotionally, I U-Hauled. But physically, actually moving in with somebody, no. I've never done that. Have I spent an irregular amount of time at their place without leaving? Yeah.
Well, I love that. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But I haven't moved in.
Yeah, if I'm crazy about you, I'll spend an irregular amount of time at your place and whatever, but I'm still going to keep the rent paid at mine.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell. Like, it doesn't matter how crazy I am about you, like, a year needs to go by.
Yeah, yeah.
After a year, then we can start having that conversation, for sure.
No, I agree. I think a year, if you're really crazy about the person, I think 3 to 6 months is when you really start to figure out if you want to be with them. And that's where you start to see their flaws. That's when they start to see your flaws. And my sister calls it, everyone has their demons, but can your demons dance together?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, you know, when you're miserable, is your miserable going to match my miserable?
Yeah, exactly. Is it going to match? It doesn't have to be, what's the term I'm looking for? It doesn't have to be the exact same. Like, your demons don't have to be the exact same. Right. But can they dance together?
Yeah, but your demons have to kiki with mine.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's just it. You know what I mean? Like, and my demons can definitely, like, kiki with Matt Rogers.
This is going to be all throughout the episode.
The one about Matt Rogers.
Yeah, the one about Matt Rogers. That's what I'm calling it.
You know, like Baba Monet, something rivalry. I can't say that word. Oh my God. Well, anyways, you guys know the podcast I'm talking about. But every episode is the one about.
Oh, that's cute.
The one about.
I like that.
Yeah. So this one's going to be the one about Matt Rogers.
So it's like Friends, the one where.
Yeah, the one where, the one about. Yeah, everything is the one about.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think 3 to 6 months is where you start to figure out if you're compatible in that way.
Yeah.
And then a year in, you can start talking about moving in together. And then another year in is when I would start thinking about engagement. But this is also like a perfect timeline in my head. I've never been in a long-term relationship, so I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
But in my head, that timeline makes sense to me.
Well, there's only been one guy that I ever even remotely fathomed asking to marry me or getting engaged to. Only one, except Matt Rogers. I wouldn't need 3 months for that one, but more like 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
There's only been one guy in my entire life that I ever looked at and was like, oh, I want to marry you. And this was like a month in. Mm-hmm. And him and I both were like going to go run to the courthouse. And my mom was like, why?
Yeah.
You both, like, neither of you have a pot to piss in. Mm-hmm. I was like 27, broke as hell, like a barista making like $15 an hour, and I'm over here about to marry. She's like, what do you guys have? You guys don't have anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't matter. I love him. She's like, great. Move in together. Love him that way.
Yeah. She's like, great.
Be together.
Put the brakes on.
Yeah, that's your man, period. Okay, just do that for a while.
Damn, are you the lesbian?
Well, that's the only time. And we know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only time I ever was 100% for sure about somebody. And I don't know, like, I feel like I would do an engagement like within a year. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But then I think that in that year, like, I would like get engaged and then like move in together. Mm-hmm. And then we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, you have to figure out, I'm a firm believer in this, you have to live together before you get engaged.
Oh, no, you have to.
You have to. Because that presents a whole other challenge.
Oh, no. I need to be all up in your business. Mm-hmm. I need to see how you are when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling happy. Like, mm-hmm. I need to go through the, like, pits of hell with you for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that has to be dramatic or, like, really, really negative or toxic. Mm-hmm. But, like, I need to see you, like, when you're down, when you're up. Like, I need to see how that goes.
Yeah.
How you support me when I need support, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I'm the same way, too. I need to see how I can show up for you and how you can show up for me.
Right.
Because one of the things that's most important to me is, can you show up for me when I have grief moments about my mom? That's one of the most important things.
You said that so well.
If you can... But it's true. I mean, if you can't show up for me at that, that's my most raw and vulnerable, when I'm missing my mom.
Yeah.
And it can get really ugly sometimes. Like,
well, especially because it's so fresh. It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years. She was my best friend in the entire world, and I did not think I was going to lose her as young as I did. So it's like this pain that I carry with me every single day. And sometimes it becomes too much, and I'm just like basically freaking out. And sometimes that's going to happen in front of my person. If you can carry that, I can't even begin to describe how much that means to me.
Or not make you feel like it's like a burden to be like having to worry about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Well, because like my mom like lost her mom, but my grandma was way older.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with her about you, because I just kind of feel like when you lose your mom in your formative years, like I told my mom, I was like, if I lost you now, it is very different than losing you at 90 years old.
Yeah.
It's totally different. It doesn't even like compare, you know what I mean? So I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think because it's so fresh, I think that your next partner does need to like keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Especially like with your trauma responses and things like that, like fear of abandonment, like, your anxious attachment style, which I relate to.
Yeah, I do have that.
If someone texts me weird or 3 hours later, it's just like, well, why?
Yeah. No, I get it. I have my own sense of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a very anxious attachment type of person. I will say I have a lot of security and a lot of confidence in what I bring to the table, but I do have that anxious attachment. I do. It's part of me.
Well, it's not about your confidence either, or security.
Yeah.
I think strong people, like when we put our trust in someone else, it takes a lot, and it's very vulnerable for us.
Yeah.
So that's why like the couple of people that are in my life that I'm really attached to, I'm like attached to them.
Yeah.
And then everyone else can fuck off. Like I don't care.
I get that. I'm the exact same way. Like I kind of
like when you don't message me for a few hours, I'm calling her sister. Like I did the other day. I was like, so is she dead?
Yeah, you did do that. My phone was in the other room. No, I did. Yeah, you did do that the other day. I get it. I have anxious attachment with my friends, my sister, my girl. Like, it's across the board.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've been with people who make it feel like a burden, and it is truly the worst feeling. But the girl I'm seeing now is fantastic at holding that type of space.
When you can like... when you can hold the emotions for somebody.
Exactly. She just holds me, and she doesn't try to say anything or make me feel better necessarily. She just lets me cry. And that's the first dynamic I've ever been in with someone like that. And she sees it as like a privilege to hold that space for me.
Well, because it is. Like when someone's that vulnerable with you, it is. Because sometimes you don't even just like, you don't want them to fix your problems. You just want them to come over.
Yeah, exactly.
You just want to sleep with them, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So I get that.
I think people are so afraid of saying the wrong thing because it's such a it's a difficult topic that a lot of people want to avoid. So I've heard a lot of stupid things out of a lot of people's mouths, and most
really
of the time,
like what? Can you name one? I'm curious.
Oh, the worst one.
Oh, one stands out. You're like, oh, what's pinned to the comments?
No, there's one that stands out. There's one that this totally digressed, but there's one that stands out that drives me fucking crazy. It's, oh, she's still here.
Who's still here?
My mother.
Oh, wait, I was like, we're talking about a girlfriend, or we're talking about, wait, oh, she's still, no. like her, which I understand where that comes from, but also like.
Okay, let me go give her a call.
You know what it's giving? Bitch, where?
Bitch, where? That's totally what it's giving. Bitch, where?
Let me get my Ouija board out.
Look, every person who has lost someone very, very close to them, I guarantee you they have experienced someone saying, well, they're still here. Oh my God. Nothing boils my blood more. I get where it comes from, and I do believe it in a sense. I don't believe that she's gone entirely. I've had too much evidence to prove otherwise.
But in that moment, it's not what you need to hear.
No, it's not what I need to hear. And it also makes me so angry because I'm like, oh yeah, if she's still here, let me just give her a call. She's not still here. Not in the way that I want. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and there's a difference between there's a time and place to use the spirituality part of it.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
There is.
But in a moment where you're like crying your eyes out and you're like, well, it's okay, baby, she's still here. It's like, no, she's not. And also, this is like time and place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is a time and place for that. Because sometimes, like, when was this? A couple months ago, we were at a bar and they were playing 2000s music, and then all of a sudden Dancing Queen comes on for 30 seconds.
Wasn't I there?
Yeah, you were there. And the music changed, and I was like, that was my mom, because my mom communicates through music. So I believe in all of that. I believe that she's still here in a sense.
Yeah, of course.
But when people say that to me, it drives me crazy.
Wait, can you tell the story about after, and obviously this is like a sore subject, but the shootings, like when you went to the Abbey and you were like afraid and the song came on?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. This was after Pulse, right?
Yeah, it was after, it was after Pulse, and why was she...
Which, by the way, we were all afraid.
Yeah, we were all afraid.
Even when I remember like going out into the neighborhood in Fort Lauderdale, and there was police watchtowers. Mm-hmm. And like, it was like, I have never felt like that going out before. And especially because I went to Pulse, and I was there actually like 3 weeks before the shooting, which is crazy because I never go to Orlando. It's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a scary time for all of us, but...
Yeah, it was. But I feel like this was a couple of years after that. I don't remember exactly what happened to create a fear, but I think there may have been another one or an attack or something. But...
There was a few that followed after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think my mom in general was afraid for me to go out to any sort of pride after Pulse. And in 2022, I think, because she died in 2021. 2022 Pride, I was there with you. I was at the Abbey, and it was so packed. And in my head, I was like...
This was when like we were dancing?
Yeah, we were on the dance floor. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, there's so many people here. It's like a prime area, right? And I kept thinking about my mom. And then out of nowhere, a Fleetwood Mac fucking remix comes on. And the Abbey has never done something like that. I don't remember which one.
Because the gays do remix. Because gays do remix those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard it. Regardless, I've never been at the Abbey. I've never been at a gay bar and have them remix Fleetwood Mac. Ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, oh my God. I was so anxious. And then the song comes on and I was like, nothing's going to happen. She's here. She's protecting me.
Oh, I love that.
That was the story. Yeah. And then I calmed down immediately after that. I was like, no, we're fine. We're safe. She's here.
That's so sweet. Oh my God.
She's not going to let anything happen to me.
And she gave us a sickening remix.
Yeah, she did. It was a good remix. I wish I could remember what song it was, but I remember it was Fleetwood Mac.
I don't remember this. Well, I must have been blacked out.
That was when you were shaking your ass at Pump, so...
Oh.
Yeah, it was that one. So,
well, I was there, but I wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not and say we did.
Anyway, this totally digressed from the topic, but I have a question. Do you think, backtracking, gay men have an issue with passion?
I mean, I don't,
I know you don't.
But I have an issue. I have an issue getting it out of them.
Yeah.
Some. I don't know. Well, like, I don't know. For example, like, they say white guys are not passionate. Mm-hmm. I think white guys are passionate as hell. At least my experience with them. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. But that was a total, like, side note. But
he's Latin, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Latin, by the way, in case you didn't know. Well, people think I'm, like, Italian, Armenian, all these other things, like, but Cuban.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised in Miami, all that good shit. But some. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the ones that I have dealt with. However, there have been guys that I have been into who lacked it and who, like, I don't know, they, like, really liked me and I could tell, but at the same time, they were kind of cold. Mm-hmm. I don't know, or, like, I would try to be, like, touchy with them, but they were just, like, I took it as, okay, maybe they're not that into me, but then they're, like, blowing up my phone the next day and the day after, and it's like, oh, no, this is just how you are. Mm-hmm. Like, you're just, like, shut off like that. And I've definitely talked to guys that have a lot of, like innate issues or, like, repressed homophobia, for sure, you can tell.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, they're into you, but at the same time, like, you can tell that they don't love themselves. Mm-hmm. So that translates into the way, and I'm really good at picking up on this, because in my early 20s, I had this knack for, like, wanting to fix people.
Yeah.
And give them love that they never had. Mm-hmm.
And I had that too.
Because my parents, like, okay, I come from the divorced family. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, there's a lot of issues that comes with that, and I definitely have my own daddy-mommy issues.
Yeah.
And abandonment issues because of that. However, they were still always there. Mm-hmm. They supported me with love, financially, all those things. So I never had that leave me. However, I noticed that I was dating a lot of guys who left home at 18. And who would give me these, like, extreme highs and then bring me back down.
Yeah.
It was like a roller coaster dating them.
Yeah.
And I would cling onto the highs, and then I realized that those highs became like a drug to me. Because it was so great, and it was just like, God, I love you so much. Like, you know, like, you're the love of my life. Well, I'm talking specifically about one person. And actually, you know what? I'm going to tell this story.
Tell this story.
Yeah, I'm going to tell it.
Yeah.
There's, you know what? Honestly.
I'm going to tell this story.
Yeah, and I'm about to eat it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, come hither.
Yeah,
come have a seat. Yeah. There was this guy that I dated. His name starts with a B, ends with a Y. Mm-hmm. And so I dated before him a guy that I was with for 3 years. So when I was 18, I met somebody. We lived together for 3 years. Mm-hmm. I was with him for a long time. So my first relationship, and he's the only guy I've ever lived with to this day.
Yeah.
It was from 18 to 21, 22 years old. We lived together, all that stuff. But I don't know, like, especially speaking of the whole, like, bottom and top thing, I would say that I think every gay guy thinks that they're a bottom.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a normal thing. Huh. Like, you automatically resort to thinking that you're a bottom, or you're just, like, you think that you're a top, and then you bottom, and then now you're, like, you know, ass up for everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, for me, I guess, like, I thought, like, I don't know, there wasn't, especially, like that, like, 2008, 2007 time, like, you were still kind of, like, fitting into, like, all those, like, social stereotypes of, like, you know, if you're, like, effeminate, you know, kind of like the way that you presented to the world. And I don't know, I've always looked pretty masculine, but obviously when I speak, like, my purse falls out.
Yeah. No, I fucking love that. This is such a side note, but all of his comments are, like, he's giving with the scruffy face. And then his voice is the nails.
Right. Like the little gif with the fish eye.
Anyway.
Yes. No, but, like, I don't know, like, I thought that I lost my virginity bottoming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was really, really lucky the way I lost my virginity. It was really cute. Mm-hmm. There was, like, candles. It was, like, my 19th birthday. He, like, got me a cake, like, put rose petals everywhere. It was very unlike the experiences of most gay men. Yeah. No shade, but, like, honestly, and I think that set the tone for, like, the type of love that I look for. Mm-hmm. I honestly think that all those experiences in my early, like, formative years is setting the tone for, like, what I expect. Yeah. So, him and I were together for 3 years. I would say our sex life was very... there wasn't a lot of, like, actual sex versus, like, foreplay and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I was really young also, so I didn't like... But I just couldn't figure out why I didn't like it. Yeah. It just wasn't giving for me. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we break up. I meet this guy. It was really passionate, real fast. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember we were sitting at a Starbucks, and We were hanging out the next day after we met, and I was looking at him, and the entire world disappeared.
Oh,
like everything
God,
looked blurry.
yeah.
It
Yep.
was just him in front of me. He was like staring into my soul with these like crystal blue eyes that I just wanted to die.
That's happened to me twice.
Yeah, it's happened to me twice also.
It's happened to me twice.
But this was
Yeah.
the first time, and I couldn't
Yeah.
figure out why literally, physically, everything was blurry.
Oh, 3 times. Sorry.
Oh, damn.
3 times. It's happened to me 3 times.
Slut.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
Love slut.
But no, he was just like, I was 24, he was 33. And I was just like, I fell like madly in love with him. I mean, this lasted throughout I was still getting over him like when I moved here.
Yeah.
Even. But he like he actually left his house when he was 17, became like a go-go boy, like at the bars and all that. Just had like his parents like to that day still were telling him that they didn't agree with his lifestyle, things like that. He's from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I just like loves the shit out of him. And baby, that's the first time I topped. And that I always say that's when I lost my virginity.
Yeah, you do say that.
Because I remember when it happened. I remember that. I remember that more than I remember the first one.
That's so fair.
Because he was,
so fair
yeah, and I
I
remember the way he looked at me too, and he was just like, me. And I was just like, 10-4. I don't know what the fuck I was doing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, and so, yeah, and then I was like, okay, this is my role.
Yeah.
And then that started to kind of like snowball, and then I like, progressed in my sexual. He was shorter than me, very, very much like giving what I like.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that happens, whatever. Like, he took me on this like emotional roller coaster up and down all the time. And yeah, like he really, all his issues became my issues. And then I realized that like, because he was bleeding all of this shit on me.
Yeah.
Granted, he is the reason why I moved to LA. Not the reason why I wanted to for a long time, but he was just like, look, he was like, I'm 33, I'm still a bartender. He was like, you have so much going for you. He's like, you're the love of my life, and I do love you. He goes, but I don't know how to love you all at the same time. He's like, but you need to get the hell out of here. He's like, you need to move to LA, get the hell out of this town. You don't want to end up like me. And I'm not saying that to like down myself or whatever. He was like, but you gotta go.
Yeah.
And so, like, within a few months, I was out.
Peace out.
Yeah, I said I gotta go.
Some people are going to drive you in that direction.
Yeah, and I will always be thankful to him because he really was the one that was like, why aren't you singing?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on with you? Like, get out. He's like, well, like, I'm not gonna date you if you're just gonna like be around town like at the bars and like being a loser all the time. Granted, his delivery was horrible.
Oh my God, yeah, that's kind of
yeah.
bad delivery.
Oh, no, for sure. He's like,
Yeah.
you could be a lot hotter, like, if you just, like, did this, that, and the other, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like, he was very toxic.
Yeah.
But
That's
in a way,
damaging.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
damaging.
He did a lot of shit to me, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
he would talk to me very, very aggressively. And in some weird, like, toxic way, I knew in that he was just loving me the way that he knows how.
Oof, yeah.
Because that's how his parents love him.
Yeah.
So I knew I believed him when he said that I was the love of his life, for sure. I believed him 100%. Because he's like, like, wear your shirt like this. Like, why? Because, he was like this ripped, like, oh my God, he was so fucking hot. I'll give him that. Yeah. And I had like this little dad bod at the time. I'm like 24 years old. I have like baby fat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, and he's like this ripped like guy that you would see at like a circa party.
Yeah.
Very that. So I was already like always insecure with him. Like there was like one time, this is totally snowballing to something else, but I think this is important. Because I was overweight when I was younger, I have like issues with my body.
Yeah.
Especially because, it doesn't like, there was just certain things that aren't as tight in certain places or whatever. And even though he looked like what in my eyes looked like this gay, like Greek god, he like would always do little things like, why do you always have to turn the lights off? Like, I know what you look like.
Yeah.
I know what you look like. Like, I see you. And there was this one time that we were in the shower and he was like, come shower with me. He was like, I don't understand like why you don't ever just get into the shower with me. I'm like, because you look like a porn star and I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. Like, he looked like those guys that you just see on Fire Island or like he looked like that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to. And then one day, like, I got into the shower with him and I was like, okay, fine. Like, I was like hiding. And then I put like soap on me real quick just to kind of like, the suds would like hide certain things. And then he literally pinned me down to the floor of that bathtub, he like grabbed my hands and he put them down by my side and turned the lights all the way on. He was like, I know what you look like. And he was just like looking at me and I started tearing up. Because it was like it was very aggressive. Like that also traumatized me a little bit.
Yeah.
But in a way though, like I was like, oh, he like really loves me. Because also like in some weird toxic way, like why would he wasn't doing it to make me feel bad.
No, he wasn't. He was trying to snap you out of it. I don't think that's the best way to do it. But
it was I I was like, I thought about that moment right now and like my stomach like got a little, I was just like, he just like all the lights on.
Yeah.
These are fluorescent bathroom lights. I can see you.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by like he got into my soul and ripped it out.
Yeah.
So it took me a long, like it took me like probably like we were doing that back and forth for like 2 years. It took me like 3.5 in total to like get over him. And then even when I moved here, until I met Tanner. Until I met Tanner, he's the one that I was like, no, actually, I really love this guy.
Yeah.
And he was the first one after that, that extreme high.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But anyways, to bring this back around, my long-ass story that's like half of this episode, gay men do have an issue with emotions and passion and things like that. And like they have it, but because as men, we're taught as a society to like shrink everything down. The gays that are my age are still dealing with that because like, you know, millennials, we're like in that halfway.
Yeah.
I think that the Gen Z gays, the newer gays, are not going to be that way.
Yeah, I agree with that because that whole idea of men can't be emotional is really starting to die.
It is,
and I think that's so, side note, but I think that's so damaging towards men. That's what, if you think about toxic straight men, that's exactly the narrative that fucks them up. Well, I can't express any emotion. I have to be stoic.
Right.
I have to be there for my girl. And it's like, well, no, she can be there for you too.
You can cry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Did you have a relationship that like that kind of like ripped your soul out that way?
Oof, yeah. I had this really weird on and off dynamic with this girl in college, the girl I lost my virginity to. So she created this soft spot. I always had a soft spot because I was that kid that was like, it's going to be romantic. I'm going to be in love with the person, this, that, and the other, really hyping it up in my head. And then when it actually happened, that wasn't the case. I kind of was just like, fuck it, whatever. I really like this girl. I'm really attracted to her. Fuck it.
They were telling you that she was trouble?
No. She was really sweet to everybody. Like, really sweet to everybody.
Got it.
But when we got alone in a room together, like this one time after we hooked up, she looked at me and she goes, ew, you're not even my type. Like, that is a direct quote. And it really fucked me up. That particular relationship, that on and off dynamic. One time, like 2 years in, we never dated fully. It was just weird on and off, hooking up, dating. I don't even know what to call it. But maybe like 2.5, 3 years into this dynamic, I had slept over at her house and she had a top bunk. And the alarm goes off. The top bunk. Like a full top bunk, one of those.
Yikes.
And the alarm goes off at 6 a.m. and I'll never forget this. Oh my God, never forget this. I'm like cuddling her and she turns over and she looks at me and she pushes me off the bed. Yeah. Literally was like, push me away from her because she got like the ick or something. And then that was when there were so many things that led up to that moment, but that was kind of my final straw and I lost my shit. I was like screaming at her and then I packed up all my shit and I'm pretty sure that was the last time we ever hooked up or did anything like that.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that really toxic up and down type of dynamic where I was so into her.
Oh God,
and
this
I was
is getting
just
crazy.
I was just like, I don't know what to do with this person. And it almost feels like it didn't happen. It feels like whenever I tell these stories, it feels like it happened to somebody else. Like it was very
You know what? Because
displacing.
Because you're so disconnected. You've changed so much, and you're such in a different place in your life. Like I can't believe that I was with somebody for 3 years and lived with him in like 3 different apartments. It's wild to me.
It's wild.
Like that. All that happened.
I was the same age too. I was like 19, 20, and I just let her say all of these
like verbal abuse.
Yeah. A lot of it was coming for like the way I dress, the way I look, the way I present myself, or I'm too masculine. You know, like I wasn't her type, and she would constantly remind me of that. So it fucked me up. Like it really fucked up my self-esteem for a while until she pushed me off the bed and I was just like, fuck you. And I lost it and left. But yeah, I mean, that was the dynamic that really screwed me up.
Not for nothing, but the way that you said, fuck you. Like, just like...
Fuck you.
Got me looking like this cup right now.
It's true. I mean, even now, it's like, it's hard for me to tell this story. Oh, this was also really frustrating because she was so sweet to everybody. No one believed me that she could treat me that way.
And I hate that because that is so manipulative.
I was like,
God.
Oh my God. And then there were some moments where she was so sweet to me, and that's what drew me back in. So it was that really intense high and low. And I don't know. I was just, oh God, I wish I could hug my younger self. I was so in it, and I was so insecure because the things she said really got to me, and it really fucked me up. And it even still to this day, I struggle with the way I look sometimes. And most of the time I don't. Most of the time I'm very confident.
Well, you shouldn't.
Thank you.
Because it's giving, mama.
Thank you. Thank you. It's not rational per se. Like, most of the time I'm very confident in who I am.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have my moments where that voice just creeps back in, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly where this is coming from.
Yeah, it's from, well, and I think that when you're older too, like, I didn't realize how much those experiences shaped me.
Yeah.
Even the way that I treated Tanner. I look back at that, and I think I've told you this privately, like, I was treating him the exact same way that he was treating me, the one before.
Yeah.
I was really harsh. Not harsh in that way. I was not talking to him like that. Absolutely not. Like, that's just not who I am. But I was bleeding all of that harshness onto him.
Yeah.
And I could have been more sensitive. Now, granted, I was very sensitive in a lot of big pivotal moments that him and I had. But I was bleeding on him a little bit.
Yeah.
From all the shit that, like, B put me through.
People kind of fuck you up in that way. I mean, what's that saying? If you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I was even doing that recently in my last relationship, the one that... the most recent one. So, you start to realize how all those experiences that you think you forget about, like you just said right now, it's so crazy that even happened.
Yeah.
But they did happen. And then when you look at yourself 10 years later, because that's what I went through in the last year, you're like, oh my God, I'm still that 23-year-old, like, little boy. Like, I am still, and I notice in the way that I talk to other people that, like, I've carried that a little bit.
Yeah.
There's little moments where I'm like, abrasive or like aggressive, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, well, because this is what I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to kind of like retrain the way that you think, because like that broken child is going to keep coming back to haunt you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Until you address her.
Oh, this is what I was going to say earlier. I know you were talking about how you kind of had that superhero complex, that savior complex.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
I had it too, especially with this girl in particular, because one of the reasons I felt so drawn to her was because she had opened up to me so deeply about her past and her childhood and all of that. So I wanted to hold that space for her, but it also came out in these really cruel ways towards me. But I felt like I could fix the problem, not with just her, but with so many different people right up until I was about 24. That's kind of when that stopped. But I used to have that so hard, and I feel like that is something that I'm not going to say straight people can't relate to this, but they can't relate to this in a specific way, which is I have come across so many girls who are not okay with their parents because they're gay. You know what I mean?
Well, also,
like, it's a specific type of trauma that you carry into your relationships.
All people have trauma.
Yeah.
But straight people do not have the same relationship dynamics or issues that gay people do.
No.
That is it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Like, their shit is also way more, like, work throughable.
Yeah.
The thing about gay people is that, like, well, this is trauma in general. Like, if you don't want to fix it, you're never going to fix it, whether you're straight, gay, purple, blue, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But gays carry around a specific, we spend our lives having to, like, create these, like, hyperactive versions of ourselves to kind of just, like, feel normal and, like, feel like superheroes through society.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to somebody loving us and, like, nurturing the inner child in us, we respond very differently to it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not the same thing with straight people. It's a totally different set of issues. Like, I don't claim to understand them, and I don't really care if they understand me.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
you know
straight up, yeah.
So that's why, like, when someone who's hetero wants to give me relationship advice, I'm like, okay, got it. It makes a lot of sense. However, there's just certain things at play here that you just are not going to get.
Yeah, they're never going to understand.
Yeah, just let him go. I'm like, no, your experience is your experience. Let me deal with this.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think with gay people, you have to be much more patient, especially when it comes to trauma. I mean, I have my own. I suppressed who I was. I really shoved that shit down because I told myself that I was disgusting. And I felt like I traumatized myself in that way. But I also, I was really scared of what my dad would say in particular. Like, I knew that he was going to have a hard time with it. And I think because of that, I really shoved who I was down, especially in high school. And I told myself, like, just change, just maybe, like, this guy will do it. Maybe this guy will do it. It'll be fine. And that's my own shit when it comes to being gay. So when someone, even now, comes into my life and is like, I accept you for who you are, there's still that little 16-year-old within me that's like, well, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And kind of pushes back a little bit.
Oh, God, I relate to you so much because even now, like when someone like really likes me, I'm like the first question I ask myself, even when I'm by myself, I swear to God, is why does he like me so much? I'm like, ill. Like I'm like my voice is annoying. I'm just annoying. Like
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's just like I don't know. Like it's like that whole thing. Like, and I think that because we have like those complexes about ourselves, we overcompensate in other ways.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I
like
think so.
For me, it's like, well, in my head, to some degree, like I think I'm annoying. So I'm gonna wear a really, really cute outfit. I'm gonna work out a lot, and I'm gonna look really, really good because like I have to look this good because like it'll hide the fact that like I'm annoying.
Yeah, for me,
you know what I mean?
For me, it's I'm not perfect. Like I have a very bad perfectionist complex because I felt like because I was gay, I was already inherently flawed. So I had to be perfect in every other aspect of my life. This is like my 16-year-old brain.
Yeah, of course.
So I was getting straight A's. I was on the cross country team. I was on the track team. I was working my ass off, getting up at 4:30 in the morning and practicing all day and night, and then going home and doing homework and studying until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd start all over again. Like I was the good kid.
Because your biggest flaw was like you were letting your parents down by being gay.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I'm already gay. I'm already inherently flawed. I'm already going to disappoint them. So I have to be perfect in every other aspect. And that thought, no one necessarily told me that. I just told myself that. And that thought carries on into my adulthood. And that's my own trauma that I put on myself.
No, and it doesn't go away. You just have to like learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's my whole thing with it too. It's like at this point in my life, like yes, people come with baggage. Like you're gonna marry their baggage also. However, I want somebody who has also gone to therapy and worked through their shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Enough to call them. I'm not saying that they have to be perfect.
No, of course.
But I don't want to sit there and bleed so that for you to bleed on me so that therefore I can go and turn and bleed as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to deal with that. Like I want us to both have our demons, but come together and have our demons dance in a healthy way.
I just can't
and apologize to each other. The little.
Every time I picture that, my sister says it. I see two little skeletons going.
Yeah, just like woo, and also like I'm really big on apologizing. I am a motherfucker sometimes, but I am very, very quick to apologize, and that's all I want from somebody. Yeah. I just want acknowledgement. And that's what I struggled with my last relationship, is just acknowledgement. It took me forever just to get some fucking acknowledgement. Yeah. Just see me and tell me, hey, I did this, I know it sucked, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna do better. Instead, it was like, I'm gonna do better, but better never comes.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's not that they were a bad person at all, like at all. But it still is like, okay, like if you're gonna do better, if you're gonna see me more, and you're gonna like stop, I don't know. I also felt like a kid too, which I didn't like. Yeah. I'm learning. I'm a very dominant personality, and I'm learning that about myself, and I love it. And I didn't have a job that I was happy with. I was making way less money than him, all these things, but I was like the top in the bedroom, but also like a child outside of the bedroom.
Yeah.
And like take your kid to work day. Like, it was just giving very, like, I felt like a kid, and my personality is so dominant. I am very alpha, especially when I'm with somebody. So the whole dynamic just fucked with my head.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But now that, just getting back on top, the only thing I ask in a relationship is to be seen.
Yeah.
And to be acknowledged. And when you do something wrong, apologize. Tell me you love me. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? But I definitely had a lot of issues that I was struggling with myself. And while this person was there for me through a lot of it and has done so much for me, they lacked a lot of the ability to be there for me in the way that I needed them to.
Yeah.
For them, they thought it was perfect, and it was. And it was great in a lot of ways. But there was just huge fundamental differences.
Yeah, there was just something missing.
And love is hard enough. So I don't want... Love is very, very hard, and I just think that there should be some basics.
And love is also not enough.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. It's got to be... Like, love is a part of it, but the majority of it is compatibility.
What's love got to do with it?
And on that note...
And on that note, not yet.
I'm not going to say it. Not yet.
On that note, I hope you enjoyed our little discussion on all our traumas, and I definitely just spilled my entire purse out, and so did Juliet. Damn.
Damn.
We really went there. And honestly, you ate that.